Hi guys, welcome back to the Game of Muscle YouTube channel where we continue off back in the land of two dimensions with the old TV on a table in front of the sim rig. We are obviously in Project Cars 2 for this. I thought it'd be nice to continue, for you guys that don't want to be thrown up over your screen, to continue off with the graphics on higher settings. Though I have just turned the graphics down a bit because in the previous video I noticed we were getting a little bit of stutter on the video side of things. Rather than it wasn't stuttering in the game for me, but the recording was stuttering a little bit. So I've turned the graphics down a bit, I've changed some encoder settings. Hopefully it looks nice and crisp, and hopefully it's hopefully it's a nice viewing experience. Now we're going to go for the Radical SR3. I think I accidentally said we were driving an SR8. We weren't. That's too fast at this point in time for me to talk and drive with. So SR3, and we're going to do Silverstone GP this time. But we're going to go and set it so that it's going to be raining. And we're going to have it so the rain is synced to the race. And this is really nice, and a really nice setting I wanted to cover in this video is how quickly and easy it is to change all these settings for the weather and all the variables and everything. There's actually a lot of different stuff you can set: time of day, the rotation of the earth. You're like a god with this game. The progression of the day and night, the different weather settings, and God knows how many weather settings, the seasons, everything else. There's a lot of stuff you can change, but you can change it really quickly, and it doesn't take too much of an arse to fiddle with, and it's very intuitive. So in this case, we're going to have it go from medium cloud to rain, basically United Kingdom Weather Simulator, essentially what Project Cars 2 is. And that's it. Standing start, we've got the opponents on 90% skill level. Might turn down a little bit so I can keep up. We're going to start in the middle. Opponent aggression, let's put them on 65, why not? And there we go. Let's go off to Silverstone GP in the Radical SR3. Fingers crossed we can do a lap without smashing ourselves into a wall. Who knows? Now, what you'll also notice with this as well, when you go to track the different weather settings, there's an auto tyre thing, and it'll give you the right tyre automated by weather, which is nice and handy. So you don't have to fiddle around with that unless you want to. But with the press version that I'm using, the setups are a little bit off. So with the difficulty setting I've got it on, we should be alright. We'll probably find on the faster corners we might have some issues. We'll see when we start racing. If we do, we'll change it and go back to the pits and restart the race. But with all that said and done, let's have a sip of the coffee. And let's start driving. Some nice camera shots that you get in 2D that you don't get in 3D. Yokohama, there's the back of a car. The sunset in the background as well. Go, go, go. So it's really nice shadow that we're casting because the sun is indeed behind us. Whoa. Sneak on through. So fortunately, this car's on the brakes. This car's default setup is actually quite nicely balanced, and it's quite a forgiving vehicle when you do get on the brakes. It just goes into a little understeer, but it's got a nice amount of bite to it. Let's put the headlights on it. Seeing as the sun is going down, it'll be interesting to see what happens when it starts raining. Oh, he almost loses it, the car in front. Oh dear, so do we. Yes, the end corner character of this vehicle is that it tends to follow itself around the corner, so you have to watch out for that. You sort of feel like, oh, go around the corner, and before you know it, the back is actually starting to come around, and you just have to catch it. Whoa, we've just been pummeled there. Let's see if we can caught that. Don't know how we caught that. That was nice. Make sure we check our rear view mirrors. I think that might be a follow-through corner. Certainly is for these other cars. They seem to be just taking it at full blast. Not a care in the world. Yeah, I think we need to... Well, the thing is, my intuition is that we need to up the downforce so we can stick a bit more, but then the opponents aren't on the hardest of AI settings, yet they're actually absolutely zooming. I mean, look at that car. They're absolutely zooming along. I guess it's multiple different classes. obviously expect the radicals to take the corners better than the straights. Oh dear. So I'm not sure. It should start raining halfway through the race. I've got the settings right. Yeah, so they're pulling away down the straights. And then we're struggling for grip around these corners. So maybe it's a case of, with the setup, adjusting the gear ratios, if there's actual room there with it. And along with that, increasing the downforce. So we've got the power at this to get to higher speeds, or the gearing to get to higher speeds, but also the grip around the tighter corners. But we'll see how it goes. We'll keep going. Oh, look at that! The lighting is absolutely amazing in this. You just saw his rear lights reflecting off the road surface. And obviously, it's not wet now. It's not raining, but there's still, you know, surfaces still reflect light and pick up ambience and what have you. And it's just really nicely subtly done. Whoever does the graphical programming for Project Cars 2 is absolutely bananas. And, oh, it's late. You get the initial grip and the turn in. It's the mid to end corner. The back wants to fly out, so you need to watch out for that. But old Derek in the garage, you can just tell him that, and he should suggest anti-roll bar settings. So we'll do that in a bit. Actually, it'll be interesting to see if he does indeed solve our woes that we're having with this vehicle as the sun sets over the trees in the distance. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, as I was saying in the previous video, though I definitely do prefer VR, but I find to just for the raw driving experience feel like you're sat in a car, it is quite nice to have the crispness and just be able to turn all the graphic settings on full, because we are only running a GTX 1070, and with VR, especially with high fidelity games like Project Cars 2, or to be honest, any of the newer games that aren't pure VR titles, you know, you can't run it at full. But it's nice in 2D, you can, and that's actually one of the nice. You know, I always have a go about games consoles, and there's a lot of aspects of games consoles that I really dislike. But one positive. Oh dear, I was trying to nip one up the inside, just ended up just rear-ending in there. One positive of games consoles is that it has forced developers that want to have games that look really shiny, they have to really hyper-optimise them, which does mean that on the PC side, as long as they've optimised them correctly, you tend to have games that look really nice and actually run quite well. Though on the other side of that, you do get some developers that literally only optimise for console, and when you play them on PC, they run terrible and also look terrible. So swings and roundabouts, I guess. We've got raindrops appearing on the screen. I now feel as if we are authentically in the United Kingdom. It's not quite grey enough, but it's getting there. I'm going to brake a little bit early. Look at the car sliding. This is a death trap at the moment with this setup. Need to get a life insurance policy just to do a lap in this car. It'll be interesting to see how slippy it does get before the end of the race. But actually, this aspect of this actually raises a good question. You know, the whole argument of difficulty and realism, and I need to maybe I should do a separate video on this, but I'll talk about it here. Seeing as we're all here watching a British lunatic play a driving simulator, might as well talk about it here. Oh my god, it's getting slippy. The difficulty thing, for some reason, it's not just sim races, it's just in general, sim racers and gamers, they seem to have... Oh, it's well slippy. People are conflating difficulty with realism. And on both sides of difficulty, in terms of if it's really easy, it's arcade and not a simulator, and if it's hard, it's either too hard so it's not realistic, or it is realistic, depending on which side of the argument people are on. And difficulty is totally and utterly unrelated to realism. They're completely separate things. I mean, you might have something that's realistic and bloody hard, and you might have something that's realistic and really easy. It's unrelated. I wish people would stop going on about it. Now, obviously, I think part of why some people are going on about it is because of some of the marketing that's being put behind the games. Oh, it's getting really slippy now. in the, you know, driving a car at a basic level shouldn't necessarily be that hard, though in some ways it should probably be harder than real life in a simulator, because you've got no real body feel, and most people aren't using high-end servo wheels, so that it doesn't have the self-aligning correction and other aspects that occur with real cars. Watch out, he's going for a move on the inside. So yeah, part of the argument is that, you know, there should be a progressive slip and cars should be catchable and things, and that, you know, that's maybe in general driving simulators, assuming you know how to actually manipulate a car in reality, should be slightly easier than some have been historically. That's fair enough. But other than that, you know, I've driven some cars in arguably the easiest simulator to drive. For me, is Assetto Corsa. But there's some cars in that are absolutely oh god, this is slippy. That are absolutely insane to drive. Like ridiculously hard to drive, and ridiculously hard even to just drive at a basic level and do clean laps with. Oh, it's starting to cats and dogs now. And in Project Cars 2, there's some cars that are really easy to drive and some cars that are ridiculously difficult. iRacing, some cars are really easy, some are really hard. You know, R-Factor 2 as well. So it's a bit. I just wish people would stop jumping to overly simplistic arguments about things and actually, you know, so you have to define what you're talking about. Oh, this is so slippy, so slippy. You know, it's not just a case of, oh, it's easy so it's realistic or not realistic, it's hard so it's realistic or not realistic. It's a totally pointless conversation. Right, we're done with that. We're done with that. That 5 of 7. You guys probably facepalming wondering, what is he talking about? I wish he would just focus on the driving. And you noticed here, and I'm noticing with the wet, the dynamics of this vehicle have completely changed. And this is one of the things I really like with Project Cars 2. Oh, still the back still coming out. How the weather affects the handling, and how it changes when you do put different weather on. I think we are obviously still running slicks, so this is going to be interesting. Oh, we've been car behind us giving us a bit of a nibble. Just took himself out. Nobody nibbles Game of Muscle and survives it. AI bombing around the corner there, but then he's had to come off to make the corner. Look at the sky. This is literally, this is authentic Silverstone now. Someone was oh god, he's still there. I've driven into him. Someone was complaining with our previous Silverstone video. Oh, look at the God rays through the fence in there. That's important. I do really like the graphics in this. Because the sun's poking underneath the cloud, and then it's casting these God rays through the objects in the environment underneath the cloud. That looks absolutely amazing. As I get distracted by graphics and I've been murdered. Calm down. Oh god, there's the 100-meter board. Okay, we're 100% aquaplaning now. I guess the car behind us was aquaplaning into us. But yes, I totally forgot what I was saying, but we'll continue off talking about. I just love how dynamic this is, and how that just makes things quite interesting, because obviously you've got now you have that strategy element of going, if you're doing say a 15-lap race, at what point do you come in and change your tyres? At which point do you rely or fall back on crazy Ayrton Senna or Lewis Hamilton rain driving skills? Look at this. And actually, what's really nice, actually, this does show off some interesting dynamics with Project Cars, is that it's not just a case that the car's understeering here. you've got an initial understeer happening because the fronts don't have the bite as you would expect, but also I can still induce oversteer and still actually through skill balance the car through the corners with a bit of counter steer as well and continue going. It doesn't feel like a baked low grip, low grip rain weather that you might find in some sims or even arcade games and other games that tend to do different types of weather. This to me genuinely feels like, or it genuinely behaves, I say feel because I've not feel because I've not actually driven any of these cars in real life, but it behaves how I would expect these sort of vehicles to handle in rain from what you see in watching real world videos, and just a sort of intuitive understanding of what happens when you get something with four wheels and drive it or move it around on a wet surface. Okay, we're going to try and finish this without pitting. There's no point. This is a ludicrous 7-lap race. I just can't. Come on. And actually, tell you what else I'm noticing. Hopefully it's not just a placebo. Oh, look at the lighting. Getting distracted. You can see the racing line, how that's slightly drier than the non-racing line, and you can feel it through the force feedback actually and through the handling of the vehicle. When you go on the wet patch, all the grip disappears, and then you go on the racing line and it comes back to you a bit. Oh, we're totally aquaplaning there. The headlights are not lighting up much of the track surface here. Cannot see anything. Oh dear, it's absolutely bucketing it down. Oh, look at that. Oh dear, I might as well be driving a sledge now. So that's the punishment for not changing the tyres over. We're still facing forwards. Ish. Oh. Yeah, some might say our race strategy, not the best. Keeping on the slicks. Oh, this is indeed... Oh, almost a swimming pool that we're driving on. Oh, it's the really tight corners where it just doesn't turn in at all. Once you actually... The moderate corners in the wet, you can kind of just follow it through because you're not really turning the car that much. And I guess you've probably got the downforce as well. It's probably, sticking it to the road and gives it a bit of bite despite the actual surface not being that high in grip. So you have to brake super early, not lock up, and then pray that you can get around the tighter corners. You also notice as well in Project Cars 2 is that different parts of the track end up wetter than others. It's not just that you've got this one grip setting or weather setting for the whole circuit. You get localized weather, which to me, again, just for the rain makes it a lot more authentic seeming than what you typically find in most driving games that have weather in them. Oh, can I get a car to go around there? Come on, we're nursing this home. 21 out of 25. We're staying on our completely inappropriate tyres. I don't care. As long as I don't finish last, I'm happy. It's been a successful video. Also, if the frame rate is actually recorded well, I'll be even more happy. Oh no, there you go. So we've gone off the racing line and almost done a full-on rotation there, but managed to catch it. The most authentic experience at Silverstone here. I guess you could load up the other driving simulators and oh dear, you could drive at the other, You could load up the other driving simulators and have a bucket of water by your sim rig and then just stick your head in that every lap. Oh, there's a ginormous puddle there. Oh, I can't even drive in a straight line. Oh, look at that. Totally sideways through there. We need like a kudos meter from Project Gotham Racing here. oh, oh. You put your drift skills to action in a non-drift mobile. But there you go. There you go. Into the wall. Even the AI didn't have the skill to handle the wet weather there with the slick tyres. But there you go. That is Silverstone GP Weather Transition. Project Cars 2. As I say, it's the press build, so there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm pretty sure would have changed, like the AI taking control of the car at the end and driving it into the wall. But absolutely fantastic. Really enjoy driving through the different types of conditions and how the car handles differently. But don't forget to click the subscribe button, guys. Like and dislike, let me know what you want to see, and we'll be doing more 2D racing just for those of you that want to see the game in 2D. Don't want to be sick, as I say. Till the next one, goodbye.